14 places to touch a woman for the first time. Hottest female erogenous zones and sensitive body parts. At a certain point in dating, introducing physical touch becomes a key step. For many men, this can be incredibly nerve-wracking, leading to self-doubt and worries about being stuck in the friend zone. Meanwhile, the girl might be wondering if you'll ever make a move. This period can be confusing for both of you, and deciding where to touch her adds another layer of complexity. You don't want to come off as intrusive or suggest you're only interested in a one-night stand, but you also don't want it to seem like just a friendly gesture. While I can't unravel all the mysteries of dating in this video, you'll find more insights in my other content. I can share the 9 ideal places to touch a girl for the first time and the 5 spots to touch once your relationship becomes more serious. Ready to learn more? Always check for consent. Alright guys, let's begin with the most crucial step. Always ensure you have consent before touching a girl. You might interpret her body language as interest, but without directly asking her, you can't be certain. Taking a moment to ask will not only confirm her comfort, but also show her that you're a true gentleman. A real ladies' man respects boundaries and seeks permission. Now, let's get into it. Her back. Starting with the back is a great approach. It's not a place you'd usually touch a friend, so she'll immediately understand your intentions are more serious. The back is a sensual area for both men and women, which can help set a more flirtatious tone. You don't need to linger. A brief, gentle touch will do. Whether you're sitting or walking beside her, lightly brushing your hand along her back can be a nice gesture. Whether you're reacting to something she says or responding to a joke, this type of touch is something many girls appreciate. Her hands. You probably anticipated this one making the list. Hands are a fantastic area to touch on a girl. They're easy to hold but also simple to release, making the touch less likely to become awkward. You can lightly brush your hand over hers or take her hand and hold it for a moment. This can work whether you're sitting together or on the move. This gesture will convey your interest without being as overtly flirtatious as touching her back. Holding hands is often seen as a romantic and meaningful gesture in a girl's eyes. Her neck. The neck is a highly sensual and erotic area, which might make it seem like an unusual choice for a first touch. Overdoing it could come off as too intense, especially initially. When you touch a girl's neck for the first time, it should be brief, gentle, and almost imperceptible. This touch is appropriate when you're both deeply engaged in flirting or when things are getting more intimate. It signals that you're ready to advance to a more personal level. Her arms. While touching hands is straightforward, touching the arms can be a bit more complex. Whether she's wearing long sleeves or her arms are bare, this can still be a good spot to touch, but it requires some finesse. It's often best to wait until her arms are extended, such as when she's resting them on a table, or to touch her arms during a hug. This gesture is a bit more subtle, but it conveys that you're protective, romantic, and considerate, qualities that many women look for in their partners. Her legs. Touching the legs might be easier than you think for a first touch, even if you're across the table from her. It's a flirty gesture, though not as intimate as touching her neck. The upper thigh is the most appropriate spot to touch on her legs. You can do this discreetly under the table or when you're sitting next to her. You can rest your hand there for a few moments, but keep it brief to avoid making her uncomfortable. Her feet. This one might catch you off guard. Touching the feet is something I'd recommend only if you've been dating for a while and have already established some physical contact. If you're sitting next to her on the couch, gently touching her feet with your own can be a subtle way to make contact. However, approach this with caution, as not all girls are comfortable with their feet being touched. Observe her reactions and gauge her comfort level before trying this gesture. Her waist. Grabbing a girl by the waist can be a playful and flirtatious gesture that many girls appreciate. It highlights your fun side while also adding a touch of sexual flirtation to your relationship. You might pull her waist in for a hug, or hold it while you're both sharing a laugh. Just be sure to have her consent, and ensure she feels comfortable with this kind of touch before proceeding. Her shoulders. Shoulders are an excellent spot for a first touch. It's not overly personal or intrusive, yet it conveys your interest in her. You can touch her shoulders in a playful way while dancing, or when you're both waiting in line for a drink. There are many natural ways to make this gesture. As with any initial touch, avoid lingering too long. Keep it brief to ensure it remains comfortable and appropriate. Her hair. Not all girls are comfortable with having their hair touched, especially if they've spent a lot of time styling it. It's important to make sure she's okay with this before you try it. Avoid running your hands through her entire hairstyle, as this can be unsettling. When you know her better, she might invite this type of touch, but initially, it's best to be cautious. Instead, try gently twirling the ends of her hair around your fingers, or touching the base of her hair while you're interacting with her. This approach can make her feel protected and add a flirtatious touch, making it a good option for a first touch. When things get a little more serious. Once you've moved beyond the initial touch and things are starting to heat up, there are more personal areas you can explore. These touches require a deeper connection and familiarity with her. As always, ensure you have her clear consent before touching these more intimate spots. Her inner thighs. We've already covered legs in this video, focusing on the upper thighs, but let's talk about the inner thighs, which are a more intimate area that can really add some excitement. If you're in a public setting and decide to touch her leg, consider gently reaching towards the inner thigh. This move can accelerate both her heartbeat and yours. Hold your hand there for a moment before pulling away. It's a great way to set the tone at the start of the evening, especially if you plan to spend more time together. It hints at what's to come and establishes a more intimate connection. Behind her ear. It might seem unusual, but behind the ear is actually an erotic zone. If you're unsure how to touch this area without coming off as awkward, here's a simple approach. Gently tuck her hair behind her ear and make a light touch as you do so. It's a romantic and sensual gesture that can make a subtle, yet impactful impression. Her stomach. Some girls might not appreciate this, but others may find it enjoyable. You could gently touch her head as you lean in for a hug and wrap your arms around her, or rest your head on hers if you're both lying down. While it might not be everyone's preference, for many, this gesture is comforting and can make them feel safe. Her butt. Many girls appreciate a playful touch on there, but in a flirtatious way. Whether she's dancing, walking down the street, or you're in a more private setting, it's one of the most flirtatious spots to touch, and a lot of girls enjoy it. Her face. The face is an intimate area that typically isn't touched until you've been dating for a while and are about to share a kiss. Girls find it incredibly romantic when a guy gently touches their face right before going in for a kiss. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss any new videos. Let us know your thoughts about this video in the comment section down below, and feel free to stay and enjoy it until the end. Also make sure to check out our next highlighted video, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.